Welcome back, everyone, to Water Hose Drinkers. It is December 7th, 2023. We are tacking on a little special segment on top of yesterday's episode. We just have some couple of things to talk about with college football, and we thought it deserved its own segment because it was a pretty big weekend last weekend, wasn't it, Josh?
No kidding. It was. I mean, I was at the beach with a couple buddies. We were hanging out. We didn't have great weather, but I tell you what, we watched a hell of a lot of football and we won a hell of a lot of hypothetical money.
Love to hear it, dude. Love to hear it. So, the big ticket item, Georgia lost to Alabama in the SEC championship this past weekend on Saturday. 27-24 tied was the final score. I'll run through a couple of stats and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts. Carson Beck played a great game, 21-29, 243, no tutties, no picks. Milroe went 13-23, 192, two touchdowns, no picks. As a team, Alabama ran the ball 41 times for 114 yards and one touchdown on the ground. Georgia ran the ball for an abysmal 78 yards on 31 carries for three touchdowns. Let's see, where do we even start here? Georgia had a great opening two drives, stopped Alabama on their first drive. Then we get the ball back and march down and score like when we slice through them like butter on that first drive. And then it seemed like we got away from some of the things that we did that were so successful on that opening drive for Georgia. Alabama played a great second quarter. That was where Georgia really lost the game.
I
Yeah,
mean, you're
Josh, where
100% right. I mean, Georgia did lose it. I mean, the second quarter was just bad because you're rolling first quarter. Honestly, like at the end of the first quarter, we were kind of split. There were six of us, right? So three of us were rooting for the Dogs, me, Gatlin, and Matt. And then Bullfrog, Wilson, and Dylan were all rooting for Alabama. So we're all screaming our heads off. And at the end of the first quarter, I looked at Gatlin and Muse and I was like, I think Georgia's got this. Like, we're going three in a row. I mean, that's exactly what I was thinking in my head in just second quarter down. But one thing I do have, you don't, if you look at actual yards per carry for both teams, it really wasn't a whole lot, especially for Georgia. But obviously, Carson Beck and Milroe both had good games. And nobody really blew you away on the stat sheet. You said that yesterday. And I mean, I thought that was a great way to put it, honestly. I mean, nobody really blew you away. It was a lot of, even though Georgia lost, it was a lot of good team football on
it
both
was
sides.
football, dude. I mean, looking at this box score, Isaiah Bond had a great game, 5 catches, 79 yards. I mean, there's nobody else that really stands out. Everything else is just middling. That happens when you see two teams this talented go at each other. I also feel very confident in saying that everybody in both of those locker rooms, everybody on both of those staffs surrounding the University of Georgia and University of Alabama, walking out of that game, walking into that game rather, felt like the winner was going on to win the national championship. I'm not saying that was the national championship. I mean, obviously that was just the SEC championship, but those two teams saw each other as the best two in the country. And I feel like it could be argued that those were two of the best teams in the country. And obviously Alabama gets in the playoff at number 4. So a couple more notes about the game, and then we'll talk about the playoff debacle. Losing Amarius Mims at right tackle killed Georgia's offensive game plan because you start having to do shuffling. You got something?
What happened with Mims? What's exactly the injury?
I am unsure on his exact injury. I know his lower leg, I think it was ankle maybe, but I'm not positive on that one. Georgia had so many injured guys in that game. I was having a tough time keeping up. But dude, you could tell it completely shifted what Bobo wanted to do on offense because Truss is good, but he's not as strong of a right tackle. And that's where Georgia had made a lot of their money this year is running the ball behind Tate Ratledge and Amarius Mims on the right side. And if you're missing both of those guys, it changes a lot of what you do schematically. So if you're sitting there, being an armchair quarterback and saying, well, why did he call this? Why did he call that? Blah, blah, blah. It's because yes, I mean, losing one or two players like that can completely change how you call a game. Now,
Sure. I mean, do you think Mims is going to sit out the bowl game?
I I would if I were him. Bowers, McConkey, Rah Rah, Mims. If I were all those guys, I have no problem with them sitting out. What I do have a problem with is healthy guys sitting out. Hate that. Can't stand it.
So obviously Brock is probably going to go to the draft. It kind of seems more likely that Carson Beck is going to return. I think he will, honestly, and which is amazing for UGA, honestly. I mean, just Carson Beck getting another shot at it, getting a ring of his own, and not being kind of behind, not really Stetson's shadow, but I guess in a way, Stet's shadow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that guys like Ladd, McConkey, and what I'm drawing a blank right now, wide receiver Dominique Lovett, do you think both of those guys will return?
I think Lovett is. I mean, it's hard to say anything for certain in this day and age of college football. I think Lovett's a pretty good chance he's coming back. McConkey, I believe, is still on the fence. I think that he's been talking with NFL people, trying to figure out where he might get picked up, talking with Georgia's staff. I'd put that one to as close as a 50-50 as you can get.
What do you think he should do? In your opinion, obviously we're no experts here.
I feel pretty comfortable saying McConkey is a third to fourth round draft pick. Now, does if he believes that he can come back and boost himself into the second round, then he should do it. Because I mean, we're talking about a big difference in payday between a fourth round pick and a second round pick.
For sure.
But at the same time, I mean, Georgia's going to be a little bit thin at pass catcher next year, or not necessarily thin, but unproven.
A lot of
And
young
so,
guys.
yeah, a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that just haven't gotten a whole lot of snaps. McConkey could come back and be the undisputed number one target in Georgia's offense next year.
I mean, you still got Oscar Delp behind Bowers, you know. Obviously, Bowers is probably going down as the greatest tight end in college football history. But I mean, Delp is he's no joke now. I mean, we got a real stud coming in behind Bowers too. And I don't know if you said is Dominique Lovett going to return? I'm sorry, when I got up, River ran in the door, so I had to.
No, that's all right, dude. Robin's been sitting under my desk, just like putting her head on my knee, trying to get me to pet her the whole time. But I do think that Lovett is coming back, and Delp is a great player, no doubt, but there's no replacing Brock Bowers. Like, no knock on Delp, no knock on Lawson Lucky, Pierce Sperlin. We got a ton of talented guys, but Brock Bowers is probably the best college football player that I've seen come through Georgia in my lifetime. There's no replacing that.
Do you not do you think I know that kid from Vanderbilt is going to go to UGA?
Yeah, London Humphreys, wide receiver, he's gotten boosted up to a 4-star coming out of the portal because when they go in the portal, they re-rank these guys based on how well they performed in college. So you can come in to a school out of high school and be a 3-star and then end up being a 5-star portal prospect. So he's a top 5 player in the portal right now, and he has gotten a 100% crystal ball to Georgia. And dude, this guy is a speed demon. Georgia fans, you probably remember him because he was the guy that toasted the secondary on the first drive of the Vanderbilt game. 6'3" and runs like a 4.4. I mean, uber talented.
No kidding, man. I mean, if you get guys like him in, obviously UGA is going to hit the portal hard for some good players, you know, and some depth and positions too. But it's just like every other college football team. But you know, Georgia's got to make a real push if they want to get back in the conversation, man, because things next year are only going to get harder in the SEC, especially adding Texas and Oklahoma. You're going to no divisions now. You can't just win the shitty East and make the SEC championship. You know, you got to be those 1 and 2 teams. Do I think Georgia can do it? Absolutely. But like we've talked about in every other college football team.
Well, it gets harder, but it gets easier as well because you got Texas and Oklahoma coming in. You're going to be playing different teams that you don't normally play from the West, but you also got a 12-team playoff. Georgia can go 10-2 and be in the playoff next year. They can miss the SEC championship next year and still be in the final tournament, which is a crazy thought within itself.
No kidding.
Um,
I just wish we'd go back to no playoffs. The top two teams go to the national championship,
I'd
and
like to
both
be,
games actually matter.
dude. I don't think that's a crazy statement. I really don't.
I mean, I think the transfer portal is a good thing. Do I think NIL is a good thing? Absolutely. But at the same time, all of this is ruining college football that I miss growing up watching.
Well, there needed to be stringent guidelines placed on both of those things before they were released. And basically, what the AA did was say, all right, y'all can go wherever you want without penalty, and y'all can get paid too. Have fun. And then now you're seeing a lot of unfair practices going down and around college football. Guys that are 18 years old are making millions and millions of dollars, and they're having family members in their ear saying, "Dude, if you transfer here, we can get, 200K if you go do this." And I mean, it's polluting college football. And we'll get into that. I had a couple more quick notes on the Georgia Alabama game, and then we'll let that one rest. The refs that did not decide that game. Injuries did not decide that game. Mike Bobo's play calling did not decide that game. Ties into my loser of the week last night with college football Twitter, dude. Georgia got dominated on the line of scrimmage. Plain and simple. Alabama's D-line was beating our O-line, and their O-line was beating our D-line. That was where Georgia lost this football game.
100%. And I mean, people were blaming Bobo. What did Bobo have? One, maybe two bad calls in the entire game. I'm just thinking one off the top of my head. Probably shouldn't have ran a toss sweep a couple times, you know what I mean? But at the same time, why are you blaming one or two calls on an entire football game, on an entire season? You just completed 3 undefeated seasons in a row, won one SEC championship, 2 national championships out of that. Like, come on. You can't say Bobo's a bad coach off of 1, 2, or 3 play calls.
No, you can't. And dude, I've really just started to take this stance on play calling and personnel and fully realized that Mike Bobo has forgotten more about college football than I will probably ever know. I mean,
100%.
here on my couch and, have the audacity to question a play call when I don't know what he saw in film this week. I don't know what personnel he had on the field. I don't know what so-and-so's been doing or looking like in practice. Like, there's so much that factors into a 3rd and 3 call that you do not see on the TV. So, I mean, it's foolhardy to sit there and just complain the whole time about that. But that was about all for the Georgia-Bama game, unless you had anything else.
Especially on Twitter, dude. I mean, you're sitting there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been guilty of it too, here and there. But at the same time, people blowing up on Twitter, just not just Georgia fans, but everyone in general, when they lose a game or something doesn't go their way. It's just like, you're just an armchair quarterback. At the end of the day, you don't know shit. Like, these coaches and players are busting their ass out there, giving it all they have, and you're really gonna call for a guy to be fired and say he's a bad coach for just 1, maybe 2 or 3 bad play calls a game? Did that ultimately cost you the game? No, it did not. A bad second quarter giving up touchdowns cost Georgia the football game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why they lost. It wasn't about the referees. Yes, it wasn't a catch. It wasn't. But
Dude, that is also about as 50-50 as it gets. I mean,
yeah,
you can your way and both teams are going to be upset. Or, I mean, one is going to be upset regardless.
but that's not why Georgia lost the game. It's just, it's football.
He should have been covered. I mean, like, look at it like that, Georgia fans. He shouldn't have been wide open.
100%. I mean, just calm down, like, everybody settle. It's all right. Let's go beat the shit out of FSU and prove to everyone why you should be in the conversation right now. That's
Dude,
what everybody should be focused on.
if I see one take that says that this Orange Bowl doesn't mean anything, that the season was a failure because we didn't go to the playoff, I might implode or just like turn to dust and float off in the wind. I'm pumped for this matchup, dude. This is still a big bowl game. There's only 4 teams that get in. That is the reality of our situation for this year.
Number 1 bowl game.
But this is an exciting matchup. This is 2 really big national brands. Florida State is going to be playing pissed off. I mean, they want to come out here and beat Georgia and show that they belonged. And then Georgia, I feel like the playoff committee probably wants Georgia to go in there and smoke Florida State so that they can justify their decision on leaving Florida State out. We can kind of roll this into just talking about how that playoff went down, dude. What's your gut reaction when you saw the top 4?
I said it yesterday on the podcast. Everybody go watch it on YouTube, please. This will be on Twitter and YouTube, but everybody please watch a normal pod on YouTube. What's up?
No, please watch it or else.
Yeah, or else Alec is going to be a little peeping Tom, so you never know.
That's a little far.
Yeah. Oh, I'm joking. Pause. No, but man, I mean, I said it yesterday. Is Florida State deserving to get in the playoffs? Absolutely, they deserve it. I 100% agree. Cooper said it yesterday. This is not like people say like Cardell Jones coming in 3rd string and winning the Natty against Ohio State over Oregon. I was there for that game. Did you know that?
I did not know that. That's crazy.
I was at the first ever college football playoff national championship. It was awesome. And in Jerry's world.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Florida State's absolutely deserving of it. Are they a top 4 team in the country? No. Especially with Jordan Travis out. That's how you got to factor into it, because you put TCU in it last year, and which they were deserving of it, and we saw what happened. And I'm not saying Florida State's going to get throttled by Georgia. I think they will, but is it probably going to happen? I don't know. Of course, I'm sitting here like I don't know what Florida State's doing. Like we talked about, like how am I supposed to know the outcome of the game? I'm not sitting in the locker room. I'm not sitting in the coaching staff. You know what I mean? But if you want to keep it at 4, obviously it's going to 12. But now it's 4. I feel like the top 4 teams in the country should get in, meaning the best 4 teams in the country should get in, and that's Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Michigan.
I feel like there has to be a blend of most deserving and best teams. And I think that is what they did when they did that announcement on Sunday. I felt like it was a good blend of the best and the most deserving. Florida State fans, I feel for you. I really do. That sucks, dude. You got unlucky. And to win in this sport, at least win at the highest level, you got to be lucky at times. And Jordan Travis going down on injury, that is just some really bad luck. You got screwed out of it. Like, it happens. But what do you do now is you keep on grinding on the recruiting trail. You go into the portal, pick you out a couple of guys, and you get right back in the mix next year.
100%, dude. And Jordan Travis, I mean, brutal injury, man. And I mean, I'm hearing, we can get an NIL in a second, but I'm hearing, DJU might transfer there. He's in between Louisville and Florida State. But what I'm getting at is, like you said, get back into the conversation next year. You still got a good recruiting class coming in. I'm pretty sure, they got top 5 recruiting class, definitely top 10.
I think they're sitting at 5 right now.
Double check, Jamie.
Dude, yeah, I am on my Jamie shit. Oh, pardon me. According to 24/7, they are at number 3 right now.
Okay, exactly. Even more proves my point, dude. You get somebody in there to replace Jordan Travis, and you get right back into the conversation. You come out there and give everything you have against Georgia, and you Let's say they win, man, or let's just say they lose. Doesn't matter. You come back in next year and be right back into the conversation, and I think they will be. And now it's expanding to 12, man. I think Florida State has a legitimate shot next year to be a top 5 team in the country.
Well, dude, until Clemson, or rather Dabo Sweeney, embraces the transfer portal, Florida
Apparently
State
he is. Apparently he is.
Florida State can remain the top dog in the ACC. I mean, Clemson has been down according to their standards now for 2 years in a row. We thought it was a one-off fluke in 22, and then you look at Clemson again this year and you think, maybe they've lost their grip on a conference where they were once the only big alpha team in there. It's
Yeah.
Florida State for so many years. But yeah, I mean, Florida
Clemson
State's
lost what, 3 games this year?
Clemson went 8-4, right?
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, and finished in the top 25, I think, or just slipped out. But at the same time, like, dude, absolutely, Florida State's going to be the top dog in the ACC, especially with Drake May leaving UNC. More than likely, I don't know if he's announced, but you know who is rumored to go to NC State?
Who?
Our good friend Grayson McCall.
Interesting.
So you know
And
Florida State's whenever they play them, if they do play them, they're gonna beat the shit out of them if he goes there.
how much will you hypothetically bet on the Seminoles if he's the quarterback for NC State?
If I had $10 million hypothetically, I would do it.
You bet 10 million,
10 million. 10 million.
dude. Just
No,
throw
but
the.
yeah. No, but for real, I mean, playoffs are expanding, man. Get right back into that conversation, and Georgia's thinking the same thing. Ohio State's thinking the same thing. The list goes on. You just got to reload, and you got a better shot of winning the national championship next year, in my opinion,
Oh,
than
you
you ever
definitely.
did this year.
I feel like I've made my stance on the 12 team pretty clear. I'm not getting my way, obviously, because I have no sway sitting here in Perry, Georgia. But there are pros to it. I think that the first round being on campus is pretty daggum cool. Playing playoff games in your home stadium is super cool. And you got to look at it like this if you're a Georgia fan, and even Georgia Southern fans should be pretty excited about this now that the G5 gets an automatic bid. Georgia, unless you have a disaster season where you lose 3 and 4 games, you're in it every year. I mean, there is a decent chance that Kirby Smart does not miss this 12-team playoff for the foreseeable future.
You know what's crazy to me is a disaster season for Georgia's like 8-4.
Is like 9-3 would have the fan base melting.
I
Melt.
know, like but that's so unreal to say, man. Like when we were kids, like 8-4, 9-3, like that was a damn good year.
Like, hell yeah, let's go to the Capital One Bowl and play Michigan State. Like, let's do
Yeah.
it, dude. I mean, I remember, I've been doing this for a long time. When I say this, I mean obsessing over Georgia football, looking at the schedule in August and saying, I see 8-9 wins this year. Should be a pretty good year.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding, dude. And it's just like that's so crazy sounding now. You know what I mean? Like that's just what college football is. And 12 teams, we got to have a playoff in Statesboro one day, man.
Did you know that Georgia has the longest active streak of making a bowl game in FBS? I believe it's 27 consecutive years.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, man. Even over Alabama?
Yeah, because Alabama didn't make it. Um,
Well, I guess before Saban, they
there was
weren't.
one season before Saban where they did not make a bowl game. And then I think Oklahoma has the second longest at 22 years.
My guess would have been Michigan or Ohio State. Well, Ohio State got the suspension, no playoffs. My guess would have been Michigan.
Ohio State would be up there, but then they got the suspension and didn't
Yeah.
bowl game.
Yeah, for sure. You want to jump in a little transfer portal talk?
Yeah, dude, I'd love to rap about this portal. So, just looking at it from the Georgia side, you got 10 guys who already entered the portal. I can run through them real quick. Xavier Sori, linebacker, EJ Lightsey, linebacker, Nyland Green, corner, Jared Zirkle, kicker, Austin Blask, interior O line, Darius Smith, edge, Jackson Meeks, wide receiver, CJ Madden, edge, Jonathan Jefferson, D line, and finally, the only one who has declared a landing spot, Brock Vandergrift, the quarterback, is moving on to Kentucky, and we will see him week 3 next year, assuming he's the starter
At Kentucky.
at Kentucky. I think it's week 3.
We might have to go.
That would be pretty cool, dude.
Um,
Never been to Kroger Field before.
I think we might could make that happen. I'll tell you off air, but we might could make that happen.
Dude, suspicious. I like it.
No,
So
it's not really suspicious. I just don't want to be like, you know what I mean?
we can't be giving out our travel plans to our fans, dude. We get mobbed.
Yeah, no. Yeah, all of the 20 people that are going to watch this.
So I mean, the first day of the transfer portal, there was like over 1,000 guys that hit it. Now there's been even more. There are,
There's like 4,500 guys in the transfer portal.
yeah, I think that's across like all levels, but just FBS was, I mean, I think it's over 1,500 now. Insane. So many guys. I know that Georgia has been in talks with a lot of them. I don't want to speculate and say here and there and then, but guys that I am really looking at for Georgia to pursue. Well, London Humphreys is a wide receiver. He's up from a 3-star from high school, is now a 4-star in the portal. He's a number 5 overall player in the portal. And he has gotten crystal ball to Georgia, which we already talked about that one. So that's very exciting. The number 1 overall player in the portal is 5-star D lineman Walter Nolan. I'm sure several of y'all remember him being the number 1 overall player in that 2022 class that Texas A&M brought in. It's the number 1 overall class in history. He is a big ass, aggressive defensive lineman that is a plug and play guy. I mean, you take him and you throw him in on the D line and don't even worry about telling him the scheme. Just tell him to go sack the quarterback. He's going to do it. That would be such a big get for a weak spot for Georgia this year. I mean, he makes it immediately improved.
What are things that you would like to improve on? I know we'll talk about recruiting out of high school in a minute, but in the transfer portal, what are your things that you look for Georgia to improve on? Obviously, we already talked about London Humphreys and the kid from A&M. Obviously, Georgia could use those guys, but what positions do you think need to be filled in that transfer portal?
Defensive line, edge rusher would be nice. Some experience at corner. You're losing Nyland Green. You're possibly losing Dalen Everett. I think that he had flirted with the portal a little bit. If Kamari Lassiter goes to the NFL, you're talking about starting 2 guys at corner next year that are either going to be true freshmen or sophomores with very minimal snaps. And you can't do that, dude. I mean, it's Georgia's September next year is going to be so challenging. We need experience at every single position. I really want to see us pick up somebody in the secondary. And I would venture to say that we need a game changer at running back. I mean, wide receiver, we'll probably pick out 2 or 3. But, dude, I look at a guy like Trevor Etienne out of Florida. That would be a huge shot in the arm for Georgia's running back group. Now, if we don't take any portal guys and we don't have any more running backs transfer out or any running backs transfer out, we're bringing in 3 with this class. So we would have 6 scholarship running backs next year. But do not tell me for a second that Georgia would not make a spot for a guy like Trevor Etienne.
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, is Javon Bullard going?
Unsure. He has not made a statement yet, but I would lean towards Bullard going.
Yeah, I mean, that's another position to fill too. I mean, maybe there's another safety out there. I don't know what Georgia's got coming in. Do they have somebody that can step up and fill that position right now? Or do you see a transfer coming in at safety?
I really like Jonel Aguero. He came in the last class. He played a little bit in some mop up duty this year, but I think that is your next starting strong safety at the University of Georgia, dude. Jonel Aguero is one of my favorite dudes from the last recruiting class. I think he's going to be a superstar.
Good, good. I mean, it's just so crazy to say over the last 2 years that Georgia got dominated at the line of scrimmage from Alabama. So you obviously got some missing pieces there and you're at your line of scrimmage and that needs to be filled. No knock to any of those players. They're all great players, but you win football games at the line of scrimmage.
Yep, especially big games against good teams.
Yeah, 100%. And you got anything else for Georgia before I dive in a little Georgia Southern or for the transfer?
Um, I think there was one other name that I wanted to mention. Oh, another name to keep an eye out for is Andrew Makuba. He's a safety. He really played all over the secondary. Some places have him listed as safety or a corner for Clemson last year. And dude, he's
Yes.
a very, very talented dude. I think that he is another plug and play type of guy. So just a name to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I mean that'd be crazy if they get him and ETN and Georgia plays Clemson and Florida. Obviously, they play Florida next year, and both of those guys would be playing against their former team. I mean, what a storyline that would be.
Revenge games, dude. Now, I expect Georgia to take upwards of six or more guys out of this portal class.
I expect Georgia Southern to take probably around 10, I mean, maybe more. I don't know. I mean, positions need to be filled, man. Transfer portal, it is what it is. It's college football now. You got to do it. You need
I know
experience.
we talked about a couple of guys that Georgia Southern might have their eyes on before we started recording, but who are you really looking at?
Two guys that really stand out to me right now. Obviously, we're still so early. I wish I had, a whole lot of names, but it's kind of unfortunately a little bit harder to find who Georgia Southern is on the radar for versus UGA, but it is what it is. But Austin Blask from Georgia,
Bring him
uh,
home.
he's
Home.
from Effingham County. We talked about it yesterday. He's pretty versatile, but he's probably going to be on the interior, I would imagine. I think guard is we need to fill guard and tackle, but interior alignment are key, and you need that. And another kid that stands out to me is Tyler from Warner Robins, Georgia. He is I believe, a 6'5", about 250 tight end from Auburn. And I don't know if it's going to happen. Obviously, you got to put some guys on NIL too. So everybody, donate to the collective, Eagle Nation Collective. Please do it. And, guys like that coming back home to the state, close to home, close to their parents. I mean, this could be really huge. It really could. Blaska's got 2 years of eligibility left. Fromm's got one, I'm pretty sure. But at the same time, you lose JJ McAfee at tight end. Keaton Upshaw's going to the draft. You got to fill those positions, and I expect Georgia Southern to hit the transfer portal hard in the trenches, man. I mean, like we just said, games, especially big games, are won in the trenches. And I think that's where we got beat throughout the course of this season for the most part. And I just think you got to improve on the offense and defensive line. And, that's like we keep on saying, man, again and again and again. That's where football games are won.
I would absolutely love to see Blask and Fromm in Statesboro, Georgia. Dude, I think Tyler Fromm is one of those dudes that has been really handcuffed by being in a run dominant offense. And I think that he could feast in Georgia Southern's pass centric offense. Yes, he is little brother of Jake Fromm, for those of you that were not aware.
Yes, yes. And he's got a twin brother as well, Tyler does. He played at Mercer for a little bit. I don't think he's playing anymore. I don't know what he's doing now. I would imagine Mercer probably in like med school or law school or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
dude, all playing college football is pretty crazy.
No kidding, man. I mean, it's great athletic family, especially, and I would love to see Tyler in Statesboro, man. I mean, it could be really something special, dude. And you got to take. I think you probably got to take another receiver to build depth as well. Secondary, especially corner. You need to fill linebackers are probably the best on the defense, which is good. You know, Watson Trent's got one more year, I believe, and you still got Terrion Lee, transfer from A&M. That's still there at outside and play a little bit of middle, but you know, and I think Bo Allen is transferring backup quarterback. He didn't play this past year. He was a transfer from Kentucky, and now he's a grad transfer. He's leaving. So it's really looking like JC French or David Dallas is probably going to be the guy at quarterback. You got a kid from North Carolina coming in. I can't remember his name from high school. Get that in a moment. But I think you got to take another quarterback to build depth. I'm not saying find your starter because I believe JC French is the guy. I think him or Dallas are probably going to start next year, but you need a good, maybe a redshirt freshman this season, probably going to be, or got redshirted this past season. He's going to be a redshirt freshman next year, a redshirt sophomore, somebody that's young and has a little bit of experience, maybe 1, maybe 2 years of college. You just need depth. And Jalen White is returning. So, I mean,
Big, big, big.
yeah, no kidding. Running back room is going to be very, very good. You know, you still got Dalen Cobb at receiver too. Derwin Burgess is going to return, but trenches, man. I mean, I can't say it. I can't say it enough. I mean, especially at schools like Georgia Southern, you got to win in the trenches, and you got to get these kids money. If you want big time players, you got to expect big time pay.
Definitely do. Hold on just a sec, JB. I'm trying to plug my phone up on the charger so it doesn't die on us here.
Hey, it's Thursday night. We'll have our one drink of the night. Cheers, brother.
Now I can't get my phone to stand up. I might just hold it. Yeah, so Georgia Southern is currently ranked 5th in the Sun Belt for this recruiting cycle. They got 19 commits, so they still got a little bit of work to do.
1 through 4.
Hmm?
Who's 1 through 4 in the Sun Belt?
App State number 1, Southern Miss number 2, Coastal number 3, Marshall number 4, Southern at 5.
Did you
Then
say
I'll go
Southern
ahead.
Miss at 2?
Yes.
Huh. They're probably pouring money into that program, honestly, but
Yeah, Brett Favre's probably pouring all the money that he stole from Mississippi into that fund.
yeah.
Have the with your buddies like what you would do if you won the $1 billion jackpot or what have you. Bro, day one, I am dropping 20 milli in Georgia Southern's NIL collective.
Dude, no kidding. If I
You
ever
are,
win the lottery, half of it is going to the Eagle Nation Collective, man.
I am calling up Mr. Lenny on the phone and saying, Mr. Lenny, I got you a check for 20 bands. All right. Now go get me 4 and 5 stars.
Well, wouldn't 20 bands be 20K?
Fair point.
Not 20 million?
20 bands times 20 bands.
There you go.
That
There you
is,
go. Quick math.
yeah. I still don't think that equals 20 million,
No,
but
it
still,
doesn't. I think that what is
math was never my strong suit.
400 billion.
So maybe I need to hit the jackpot a couple of times.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. Okay. I feel extremely stupid after that. So this is actually a great moment in our podcast history, Alec. 20K to get 20 million, you just add a 0 on the end. So what do? You multiply by 10.
That would be 200,000.
200,000 times 10.
Oh, well
Oh,
then, yeah, that
oh,
no,
you
that would be 2
no,
million.
dude. Holy
Oh
shit.
God.
I did the wrong thing.
Oh my goodness. Y'all are not listening to
200.
us for algebra
200.
lesson.
Because I'm on my calculator, dude. I added an extra zero, so I did 20 million divided by 200,000 instead of 20,000.
Gosh, dude. Yeah.
So 20,000 times 200 is 20 million.
Dude, I only took one math related class in college. I'm a
Wait, hold
word
up, dude.
trying to get this to stand. Here we go.
You know what's really sad?
This past five
I
minutes.
messed it up again. I can't type the wrong thing.
All right, and I'm struggling with the phone over here. This is a freaking shit show.
All right.
Dude, you can't, neither of us can do math. I'm over here fumbling my phone. This is making for some very quality entertainment.
Okay.
All right, we got to get back on football.
We're going to go through this real quick, man. We got to get this right.
We got to nail this.
So 20 million
Yep.
divided by 20,000
Is 1,000. Nice. Okay.
I'd like to say before we dive back into football, I did graduate high school and I did graduate college. My mother is a math professor and she will be very disappointed in me if she ever watches this podcast. And
Your mom was like I don't even know what to say it, the sponsor for our dual enrollment class in high school through Middle Georgia. And I mean, yeah, like right there with you. She
I mean, dude, this is so bad, man. We got it wrong like 4 times, but I did take college algebra my freshman year of college, and the lady gave me a C. And I'm not afraid to admit this because I have my degree now. I got a whopping 0.75 my first semester of college. And
that's
I got 2 Fs because I never showed up and a C, and that was in college algebra. So I missed like 20 something times throughout the course of the semester. The attendance policy was 10, but I did all the homework and showed up like for the test and stuff, and I outright got an A in the class. So she passed me because I earned an A, but I never showed up.
dude, you just showed up in clutch moments. That's what big
Ex-
do.
Except just now.
Except just now.
Yeah. If you put this aside, I'm clutch through and through, baby.
I'll throw out a story that puts me in the same boat with you right there. Freshman year of college, everybody gets there. You get your first little taste of freedom, and you're just like, oh, dude, if I don't want to go to school, then I don't have to. There's nobody here making me, or like no real penalty for not going to class. And so, as the second semester of my freshman year, I was talking to my teacher because I was a little bit behind in the class, and she pulls up the attendance chart. This is in February or like March, and she goes, "Okay, you missed February. You missed the entire month of February." I was like,
That doesn't sound right.
"That doesn't sound like me. I think you got me mixed up with somebody else." But hey, we finished strong. We finished strong.
Dude, see, last thing I got for sorry, we've gone on a little tangent here. when I was a senior in high school, so we had like we never could like exempt your finals unless it was your last semester of your senior year. And you basically had to have a C or above. So it was like you're an idiot if you don't take if you have to take your finals. And but I didn't know this. They had a if you had a certain amount of like it was 30 tardies. And if you got 31 tardies, you had to take all of your finals. So, dude, and that's over the course of fall and spring semesters, right? So, dude, we're sitting in the middle of February, and my teacher looks at me. She was like, you've got 28, like 27, 28 tardies throughout this year. Like, if you get two or three more, you're going to have to take all of your finals. And I'm like, rest of this month, March, April, May, like, I'm screwed. But I did.
Just be on time.
Yeah, yeah. So like
But
if
that Chick-fil-A breakfast, though.
yeah, if I was late, we just didn't go.
Oh,
But
yeah. Well, my philosophy was if I'm going to be 10 minutes late, I might as well be an hour late.
no kidding. But I'm going to tie this back into football. With all this money and transfer portal stuff with these college kids, what's the basis of what NCAA said all over the years? Student athlete, right? Where does this student factor into play? Do these kids that are making all this money like want to go to class? No. Be like, man, I like some of these kids, I got $1 million sitting in my bank account right now. You think I'm going to show up to this class?
The only thing that
Well, then the teachers.
those kids go to class is a minimum GPA requirement to play sports.
I like, yeah, but half these kids are getting somebody else to do their schoolwork and like they don't even enforce these attendance policies on the kid. It just ruins the whole not only college experience, but you just lose your the student aspect of it too.
Oh, you definitely do. And I mean, put yourself in the shoes of, I don't know, Caleb Williams, who is making millions and millions of dollars in NIL. He is a celebrity on that campus, and basically a celebrity because I mean he's in LA. That dude is about to be most likely the number one overall pick of the NFL draft and is going to be making upwards of $20 million next year for whatever team has the number one overall pick. You think he gives a flying F about anthropology or about college algebra or about environmental science? Hell no, dude. I mean, that's obviously like a far out example of one of the top dudes. But I mean, even thinking about mid level guys that are getting picked up in the fourth, fifth, sixth round, they're about to be making, six figures, seven figures over the next couple of years. They don't care about classes.
Yeah, dude. I mean, 100%. I mean, I didn't give a shit about classes and I didn't have any money in my bank account. Like imagine if I had just give me, we talked about it yesterday during the interview with Matt, man. If you just give me 20K, man, do you think I'm going to give a flying F about any schoolwork or anything revolve around school? No, no way.
Dude, absolutely not. So, what's your, just to bring this full circle back to ball, where do you stand on NIL just as a whole? Just some general discussion.
We said it before, I think yesterday and on this, but I'll say it again. Do I think it's a good thing for some of these kids to have money at a young age? Because unfortunately, some of these kids come from, not a financially stable background and maybe come from a rough life. This is their first experience of real money, which is great. I'm happy for them. Get your money. You know what I mean? Like that's awesome. But at the same time, I hope they have somebody around them that is maybe a financial advisor. Maybe they have a good family member that can control their finances in the right way. And so they don't blow it all. And then that's what I'm scared of for some of these kids doing, just blowing all their money. And at the same time, I'll say it again, it's ruining college football.
I think it is too. And you can say that about so many things where money has become the main focus. If I had $1 million in my bank account or 18 or 19, I would have purchased some stupid things. I mean, I would have been so irresponsible with it. So, I mean, they definitely need to have, a financial advisor or something like that. But I just don't like that it is becoming the determining factor on where a kid is going to go to college. And also, I mean, I see it from the point of view of these donors as well, to where, let's say I'm an oil tycoon in Texas and I am a UT alum and I promise a 5-star that you're going to get $500,000 from me. And then he comes into Texas and plays a little bit and then transfers out. I mean, that's 500K down the drain.
100%, dude. I mean, I think Matt said that yesterday too in the interview, but it's just like, it's so ridiculous to me now, man. It's just like, even you, like you said, you might get 1 year, maybe two for some of these kids, and gone, gone. Like nobody, like it's going to be so hard to find some of these kids that been at the school 4 or 5 years. We're still seeing it now because the transfer portal really just got going in the last couple of years. But think about 5, 6 years down the road, we're going to be sitting like, oh my gosh, like this kid's been here for 4 years. Like that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we're going to see that. It's tough. And we're going to be amazed to see when people are being there 4 years and being there from the start and never left. Like I miss that.
Oh, I missed that too, 100%. I mean, the likelihood of seeing a 4-year starter, even at premier programs, is so much slimmer than it used to be. When talking about the negative effects of NIL, a situation that comes to mind is Jordan Addison a few years ago, 2021, was the Bolitnikoff winner at Pittsburgh, caught well over 1,000 yards, close to 20 touchdowns, like unreal season, unreal usage, played so many snaps, and then transferred to USC to be a rotational guy. And you're going to tell me that decision had, or that NIL had no bearing on that decision? Absolutely not, dude. And going to USC didn't improve his draft stock whatsoever. He was going to be, a high level pick coming out of Pitt. And I feel like a lot of people have this misconception about NIL where it's going to spread the wealth and other schools are going to be able to compete and, other bigger brands are going to be able to. No, dude, it is making the rich richer, and you are seeing it in real time. I mean, look at just the top 4 of recruiting rankings right now: Georgia, Ohio State, Florida State, Alabama. And people are thinking that, a team like Louisville is going to be able to, pay for players and get much better recruits. But Louisville's sitting at 50. Like that's not how this is working. I feel like there should have been guidelines put on it, which, we discussed this a little bit last night as well. And the NCAA kind of just said, all right, now the toothpaste is out of the tube, deal with it. And it was not structured very well when they first implemented it. But it's here and it's here to stay. So we learn to live with it.
100%, dude. There should have been guidelines beforehand.
There definitely should have. Anything else on those couple of subjects?
I'm all
Hopefully,
good. You
all
want
right.
to do the little high school kids?
Yeah,
I don't have any names. I can be a little quick with mine if you want me to go ahead and go.
Yeah, dude, let's hear it.
I'm not good with names. I'm really bad on it. I a little underprepared, but it's okay. I'm just gonna riff. And we got this Georgia Southern's got this quarterback coming in from North Carolina, I believe. He's a damn good player. He's very mobile and he's got a great arm, but I expect a red shirt. First
Tyler
year. Say it again.
Tyler Budge from Weddington, North Carolina, went to Weddington High School. Quarterback, 6'3", 205, 2 stars. Number 61 player in North Carolina, number 171 quarterback.
Look up this it is 6'1" corner that we got. I don't know where he's from. But yeah,
Elijah McDowell.
huh?
Elijah McDowell.
Yes. Yes.
South Gwinnett High School, 6'3", 180, three-star corner, number 162 in Georgia, number 149 corner. 6'3", 180 is a great frame for a quarterback.
He's probably more 6'2", 6'1", but still. But he's got kind of, I'm not saying he's an elite corner right now. I'm not gonna blow smoke up his ass right now. Obviously, all these kids have stuff to prove, and he's got to get there and learn the defense and stuff. But he's got a little Sauce Gardner build.
Yeah, that is a little Sauce Gardner build.
I mean, you never know. Those are really two kids that stand out for me. There's a running back coming in, too, that I believe is a stud. So who knows if he will get snaps next year, because you got Terrence Gibbs just retained as a red shirt. So he will be a redshirt freshman for next year. You got OJ Arnold coming back for a third year and Jalen White coming back for his last year.
Teo Todd.
That sounds right.
From LaGrange.
That sounds right.
Georgia Southern 6 at 86th in the country, and like we just said earlier, number 5 in the Sun Belt.
I mean, dude, this is what people don't get. Obviously, it needs to improve, but I think this recruiting class is personally great. And it's the last year and this year are arguably the two best high school recruiting classes we've probably had in Georgia Southern history, especially in the FBS.
Well, dude, it's going to take time. It's going to take time for Clay Helton to establish his culture and the foundation that you need for good high school recruiting. He's already in the top 100, which is, respectable for a Sun Belt team. Top 90. You're obviously top 5 in the Sun Belt. Obviously you're not going to see a bunch of super highly rated guys in here yet. Helton hasn't quite gotten there, but I see a lot of needs being filled. There's a lot of D-line, a lot of O-line, a lot of secondary. I think this is going to be a pretty good class for Georgia Southern.
100%. Like you said, to kind of wrap it up, needs got to get filled, and I think that they're doing a good job of doing that right now. And last thing, I forgot to mention yesterday on the pod, Coach Whitley, Kevin Whitley, did get let go, and we hired, forgetting the name here. Sorry, people. We hired Safford. Sorry. Like I said, I came extremely underprepared. But I knew it was Darius Safford. He played at Georgia Southern, actually, and he was on that team that beat Florida, actually broke up a pass at the end of the game that, pretty much sealed the game for the Eagles. So he's back in Statesboro. Expect some big things in the secondary. And, he's familiar with the state of Georgia, obviously familiar with Georgia Southern. So that's huge. That's all I got.
I love seeing former players come back and join the staff. That's awesome.
Sorry. Last thing I got, because you said former players. Former player Dylan Springer is coming back to Georgia Southern as a coach. He is going to be a defensive line graduate assistant. He's going to still get another degree, and he's starting coaching. He was at GMC this past year, and now he's coming back to Statesboro.
Sweet, dude. Could be big things for the Georgia Southern D-line next year.
For sure. You can go ahead and get in a little bit of Dawgs talk.
So Georgia is currently sitting at number 1 in the country and recruiting for the 2024 class, pretty much no matter what site you look at. I like to go off of 24/7, but all of them are pretty close to each other. Although, dude, just a little bit of kind of broad discussion here. I like 24/7 and Rivals much better than I like On 3 and ESPN.
I, I like On 3, but I do agree 247 is probably the most accurate.
I don't agree with some of On 3's rankings. They're also very, very new. So, I mean, they could be just like a smaller staff, but they do have a couple of guys like in the On 3 under the On 3 umbrella that I really like. JD Pickles really good. He has a really good podcast. Jake Rose, former there's a big Georgia guy on the On 3 staff. They got a lot of good people. I just don't agree with their rankings too much.
I
But
like
anyway,
JD Pickle though.
JD Pickle's good, dude. The hard count, he's
Yeah.
got a good podcast. I
Um,
mean, he's no hose drinker, but
yeah. Did you watch Josh Pate the other day?
I listen to just about every Josh Pate episode.
Dude, the Brandon Walker thing of putting his face on the trash can. Dude,
Yes, that shit is
I
so funny.
laughed so hard, bro.
I was laughing
So hard.
listening on Spotify.
Dude, I mean, no, I listened to it on Spotify, like at work, but then I saw the clip on my phone. Like immediately as I was listening to it, I was like, I know that clip's out there. Like I gotta find it. But I was listening to the Yak today at work. So they, record and put it out later in the night. So like I'll listen to yesterday's that came out, but I listened to it today, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was Brandon Walker on the Yak, and he was talking about all of that stuff. And he was like, no, like we're friends. He was like, I think it's funny. And I was just like, he's so salty right now, dude.
He's seething. He's so mad.
Dude, I can't stand Brandon Walker, man.
I'm not a fan.
I can't, dude. I'm sorry.
Well, dude, I think it says something that me being somebody who consumes a lot of college football media, that I never listened to Barstool's college football podcast with him
Necessary
and
roughness.
Unnecessary Roughness. Yeah, I never listened to it. I mean,
I
I
don't.
just
It's just because of him, and they talk a lot of
not
good
for me.
football. I love Jack Mack. Jack Mack is the
I
man.
like Jack Mack. I do. I like Jack Mack. I don't think Casey Smith is that great, but she is more tolerable than Brandon Walker is.
100%. And what I like about the Yak is that, yeah, he's there, but there's also like 5, 6 other people there. So it's like they're all talking and like it's funny, So it's not just like solely him, and they give him a lot of shit. So I love that too.
The Yak is pretty good, dude. This is absolutely no knock on Barstool or people that listen to Barstool stuff. I just kind of phased out of like Pardon My Take and the Yak and stuff like that. I've really just started to gear towards. I mean, it sounds kind of grumpy old man of me, but like stuff that is very factually based, and like I want to hear like some really good cold cut analysis and a little less of the hokiness. But I mean, also if I'm in a silly, goofy mood, like I'll listen to a Pardon My Take.
Well, if people want to get the hard truth and get the cold cut analysis, like you said, you got to come to Water Hose Drinkers, baby. Gotta
Exactly. It's the
hose.
best of both worlds, man.
Sorry to interrupt you, and we went off on another tangent right there, but let's talk a little bit more about Georgia football and high school recruiting.
Well, yeah, you're going to get good, cold, just good takes. And then, we're going to sit there and struggle to do simple math for about 5 minutes. All right. Georgia, number one in the country, 28 commits right now. That boils down to 4 5 stars, 19 4 stars, and 5 3 stars. So, for those of you unfamiliar, if you have so many players go in the transfer portal from the previous year, you can open up more spots on your recruiting class. So, typically the limit is 25, but I think Georgia had 7 or 8 guys go in the portal last year. So, they can technically take up to 32, which I do expect them to fill out this class. And the headliner is obviously Dylan Raiola, 5-star quarterback, transferred from the state of Arizona to Georgia, has been playing at Buford, had a great year. Buford did lose in the playoffs, but he still played very well. The next couple of 5-stars, just to run through them real quick. Ellis Robinson, the fourth, is a corner from IMG, and then Justin Williams is a linebacker from Oak Ridge in Conroe, Texas. Georgia's still got, should I mention some names? I'll mention some names. There's a couple of guys that Georgia is really looking to flip and has stayed in touch with. The number one guy that I would keep your eye out for a possible flip. I mean, these are all long shots, but still something to just look out for. Where's he at? KJ Bolden. Is the number one safety in the country. He's from Buford, teammates with Dylan Raiola, currently committed to Florida State. I know that Auburn is working very hard to flip him. And, I mean, I thought that he was a shoo-in to be a Dog for the longest time, and then he committed to Florida State and kind of took everybody by surprise. There's a D lineman that is currently committed to Florida that Georgia
is a beast, though.
I believe this is the guy that I'm thinking of. Amaris Williams is a 4-star D lineman committed to Florida that Georgia has been working pretty hard on. Outside of that, I mean, you'll hear rumors of Georgia still talking to Jeremiah Smith. I think he's locked in with Ohio State. You'll hear rumors about Williams Winery's 5-star D lineman committed to Missouri. He's still locked in. Outside of that, Georgia's probably done getting top 25 guys. We might add another couple of guys. This is a really, really good class for Georgia. We're filling a lot of needs. And let me just go through. Here's a couple of guys that I think could come in and make an immediate impact. 4-star receiver Nitro Tuggle is a really, really good player. He's from Indiana. I know, great name, great college football name. He's from IMG. I think that he is one of the best receivers in the country. If y'all get a chance, pull up Nitro Tuggle Huddle. I mean, Buddy is a baller. Yeah, I think that he can be an immediate impact player. Joseph Jonah Ajonye is a 4-star D lineman, also plays at Oak Ridge with Justin Williams because he's a plug-and-play dude, can come in and rush the passer. And then Ellis Robinson's the 5-star corner from IMG. Number 1 corner, number 2 player in Florida, number 3 player in the country, all according to 24/7. With Georgia being a little bit thin in the secondary, I think that he can come in and make a pretty immediate impact as well. But, I mean, dude, just a ton of, dare I say, dogs in this class. I mean, you're going to have, I think, one of the best examples of how deep and how good this class is Ryan Puglisi. Does not get talked about at all. And I hate it for him because he's been overshadowed because of Dylan Raiola's ranking. Ryan Puglisi is a really, really good quarterback. I've watched a lot of his tape. He's a 4-star guy, 6'3", 205, number 3 player out of Connecticut, number 13 quarterback in the country, number 204 nationally. He goes to Avon Old Farms High School, quite a high school football name. But, dude, my player comp, so I did some player comps for current recruits and their commits. Ryan Puglisi is taller Stetson Bennett, in my opinion.
There you go. I mean, you just got to build depth where you need it, man. But you never know what's going to shake out. Maybe Raiola's not the guy. Maybe he's the guy. You never know, man.
You have, yeah, dude. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainties. His tape reminds me a lot of Stetson Bennett. The way that he moves around in the pocket, the way that he just finds guys open. I mean, he's not a run-first guy, but he's athletic enough, and he's got the NFL build. You know, when I say NFL build, you got to be over 6'2" or 6'3" these days to get or you have to be a freak athlete to get drafted pretty high. But, I mean, you never know. Puglisi could be the dude.
That QB room is loaded next year for UGA.
Oh, yeah, especially if Carson Beck comes back. Then we got Gunnar Stockton, Dylan Raiola, and Puglisi as our 4 scholarship quarterbacks. I mean, all of those guys are viable SEC starters, at least P5 starters.
No kidding, dude. I mean, it's ridiculous to see how far Georgia's come from 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, the recruiting has always been good. We've always been a top 25 school, but it's different with Kirby. It's different. I mean, Kirby Smart was, I'm not going to say this is his sole purpose in life, but one of the things that he is best at is recruiting high school football players. I mean, that dude just does not stop ever. I bet that it is 9:43 p.m., getting late. Kirby Smart's probably on FaceTime with some 5-star right now. Like, it's just freaking ridiculous.
No kidding, man. I mean, these guys, they work their ass off for these kids. And we talked about it so much, these armchair quarterbacks, they don't see that, and these coaches really just work night and day trying to get these kids scholarships, trying to get these kids, NIL stuff, and trying to get them to come to these schools and, make the team successful.
So early signing day for college football for high school recruits is December 20th this year. So I expect Georgia to ink maybe 10 to 12 guys out of the current 28 they have committed. And then the regular signing day is February 7th, 2024. It's the day before my birthday, might I add. So maybe I'll get some early birthday presents there. And yeah, that was about all I had on Dawgs recruiting.
So for your birthday, February 8th, for people who don't know, you know how Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura do their birthday gifts to each other? Do you know what they do?
Yes. Don't they buy each other like ridiculously expensive gifts or something like that?
Yeah. So like, I want to start doing this with you. Like, I'll buy you like a $5 birthday present, right? And you just got to make it more than $5. If it's $6, I got to top $6. Then you got to top whatever that is. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. I like this. I don't like where this is going for the next 20 years, but I like the first couple.
Well, people start pouring money into the hose drinkers and we'll be all right.
Yep. You know what I want for my birthday? I want y'all to like and subscribe, drop comments as well, watch all our stuff, and keep on drinking hose water. That's all I want.
I want that for Christmas too, man.
Oh, yeah, dude, that can be my combo Christmas birthday gift.
Yeah. My birthday's in May, so I think the people got to give me something else other than like and subscribe. Maybe they got to get us a Jamie.
Yes, dude, that's what, yeah. Actually, add that on. I want separate gifts for Christmas and birthday. And for my birthday, I want a Jamie. And then for Christmas, y'all just like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify and
Twitter,
drink hose water.
X.
And X. I'm holding the phone with one hand, but there's half my eggs.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like, is that a good point to wrap it up?
I think that's a great point to wrap it up.
Yeah. So like Alex said, I mean, I can't say it enough. Be sure to, like and subscribe to the YouTube and Spotify, give us 5 stars on the Spotify, hit that follow button. And, Water Hose Drinkers podcast, you can look it up on YouTube and Spotify like that. Our Twitter handle is WHD podcast. And please, like and retweet. This is going to be on Twitter and YouTube. So everybody, let's show some love. And we always will give our fans all the support in the world. So, I love keeping on doing this, Al. This was great, man. I mean, great college football talk. I've really enjoyed it, man.
Oh, dude, I do too. I mean, here, I'll just give y'all a quick, this is a very all access thing right here of what I've been looking at, dude. I mean, I got 4 pages of college football information pulled up. If you couldn't tell that I like this stuff.
See, this is why when we do pods in person together, we got to have the Jamie with the everything,
We're going to get him. He's coming.
This is your birthday present, man. The people are going to deliver, man.
People are going to deliver. One last thing that I have to say, and that is hail Southern and go Dogs.
Hail Southern, go Dogs. Keep on drinking that hose water, baby. See you, Al.
See ya.